So we will start with the anatomy of the abdominal regions. The abdomen is divided into 9 regions by 2 horizontal and 2 vertical lines. Upper horizontal and transpyloric line lies midway between the xiphisternum and the umbilicus. The lower horizontal or transtubercle line, it lies at the level of 2 tubercles on the iliac crest, about 2 inches behind the anterior superior iliac spines. The vertical lines are drawn on either side through the midpoint between the anterior superior iliac spine and symphysis pubis. So this is the diagram which is showing the division of the abdomen. First diagram is showing the anatomical division of the abdomen into the 9 quadrants, and this is second diagram which is showing the clinical division of the abdomen into 4 quadrants: right upper, left upper, right lower and left lower quadrant. These are the different organs which are lying in the different quadrants of the abdomen. In the right upper quadrant lies the liver, most of the part, then right kidney, colon, pancreas, gallbladder and small intestine. In the left upper quadrant lies the rest of the part of the liver, spleen, left kidney, stomach, colon, pancreas and small intestines. Right lower quadrant lies the colon, small intestine, right ureter, appendix, right ovary in females and right fallopian tube in females. Left lower quadrant lies the colon, small intestines, left ureter, left ovary and left fallopian tube in case of females. Now, when you examine a patient of lung, first you will take the history. These are the different points which you will take in your history part, which is onset of the lung, duration of the lung, then progression of the lung, size and shape of the lung, site and location of lung, different associated symptoms like pain, fever, vomiting, nausea and jaundice. Is there any previous history of such type of lump or the abdominal surgery? Family history of family members giving similar history and history of cancer in any other family member. Additional symptoms are abdominal pain, change in appetite, nausea, vomiting, rapid weight loss, fever, sweating, change in bowel habits, hematuria, hematemesis and melena and jaundice, which is yellowing of the skin and the eyes. Now we will examine the abdomen, which will be divided into inspection, palpation, percussion, auscultation, per-rectal examination and per-vaginal examination in case of females. Now abdominal examination. This is the position of the patient when you examine the patient. Patient will lying down supine, knees will be flexed, pillow will supporting the head, hands by the side of the body. Examiner will lie on the right side of the patient and the patient should be adequately exposed. Then on inspection we will inspect the skin, shape of the abdomen, umbilicus and its position, condition of the skin over the lump, position, size and shape of the lump, movement with respiration, is there any visible peristalsis, is there any dilated veins present on the abdomen, any scar mark, the hernial orifices and the perineum. Skin over the swelling, it can be tense, red, shiny, pigmented and may have engorged veins. Movement with respiration, swelling which originate from the liver, gallbladder, spleen and stomach moves freely with the respiration, while the swellings which arise from the kidney and the suprarenal gland moves little with the respiration. Are there any visible peristalsis? Conditions which give rise to visible peristalsis are intestinal obstruction and carcinoma of pylorus of stomach and transverse colon. In case of obstruction in pyloric end of the stomach, the peristalsis will be visible from left to right, while in small intestine the peristalsis will be in ladder pattern. In large intestine, the peristalsis lies from right to the left in the form of inverted U. In case of carcinoma, in case of CA pylorus of the stomach, the peristalsis will be from left to right, whereas in case of CA transverse colon, the peristalsis will be from right to left. Palpation. We will stand on the right side of the patient. The hands and forearm should be at the level of patient's abdomen, and we will look at the patient's face all the time. There will be 2 rounds of palpation. One will be superficial and second will be deep. And we will examine the abdomen either clockwise or anti-clockwise. Usually we start the palpation with the non-tender side first. We will palpate the local temperature, then tenderness. The inflammatory swellings will be tender. Then position and site of the lump, size, shape and surface of the lump, which indicate underlying pathology. Then margins of the lump, margins should be defined by getting all around the swelling. Well defined margins indicate the neoplasm, whereas the inflammatory swellings will have ill defined margins. Defining the margins may be difficult if the swelling is present under the costal margins or the pelvis. Then we will look for the consistency. Consistency can be soft, cystic, firm, hard and stony hard. Same consistency throughout the swelling or different consistencies at different part of the swelling. Cystic swelling will show positive fluctuation and fluid thrill. If cystic swelling becomes tense, then it may be difficult to elicit the fluid thrill. Now movement. Movement with respiration occurs when the swelling is associated with the liver, gallbladder, stomach and spleen. This movement is up and down. Whether the swelling is movable in all directions, movable in vertical or horizontal directions. A mesenteric cyst moves only at right angle to the line of attachment of cyst. Then ballotability. The renal swellings, they are ballotable. Is swelling pulsatile? If the swelling is pulsatile, then we have to differentiate between expansile pulsations and transmitted pulsation. First method, we will put our index finger of each hand on the swelling. The 2 fingers will get diverted in case of expansile pulsations, whereas the fingers will not be diverted in case of transmitted pulsations. In second method, if the patient is placed in knee elbow position, the swelling in front of abdominal aorta will get separated from the aorta and will become non-pulsatile, whereas aortic aneurysm will continue to pulsate. How will you differentiate between abdominal wall and intra-abdominal swelling? To differentiate this, following methods should be applied. Leg raising test, which is also known as Carnot test, shoulder raising test, or blow out air with mouth and nose shut. In all the tests, abdominal muscles, they are taut, and if the swelling is parietal, that is, if the swelling is lying in the wall of the abdomen, it will become prominent, while it will disappear if it is an intra-abdominal swelling. Now we will palpate the liver. Liver lies in the right subcostal region. Normally the liver is not palpable. Enlargement measured in finger breadths below right costal margin. The liver will descend with inspiration. We will not be able to get above the swelling. The swelling will be non-velatable, and on percussion we can see the liver span. Now palpation of the spleen. Spleen lies in the left subcostal region. Normally it is not palpable. Before palpable, it enlarges 3 times. It descends downward and medially with inspiration. We cannot get above the swelling, and we will be able to palpate the splenic notch in case of splenic swellings. It is a non-velatable swelling. This is the method how we will palpate the spleen. Now kidneys. Kidneys are normally not palpable. Sometimes in thin patients, right lower pole can be felt. Descends down with the respiration. Kidney swellings are velatable. We cannot get above the swelling, and there will be resonant note during percussion. This is the method how we will palpate the kidney. Now percussion. The swellings which arise from solid organs will be dull on percussion. If coils of intestine overlie the swelling, then percussion note will be resonant. That is why the swellings which arise from the liver and spleen are dull, whereas the renal swellings, they are resonant. The dullness of ascites shifts with the change in the position of the patient, whereas the dullness of ovarian cyst does not shift with the change in the position. This is the method how we will percuss. This is the diagram showing how we will look for fluid thrill. Now hydrated thrill. We will place 3 fingers on swelling and percuss on middle one. Thrill felt by other 2 fingers when mother cyst is packed with daughter cyst. The consistency of the wall of the daughter cyst and the tension of the fluid inside it are responsible for making the cyst vibrate and produce the sensation of a thrill. Now auscultation. On auscultation we will look for bowel sounds, succussion splash, and vascular groove. This is the diagram showing the 9 quadrants of the abdomen and the different viscera which are present in different quadrants. Now differential diagnosis of the abdominal swelling in right and left iliac fossa. Right iliac fossa. Now we will continue this topic in our next class. Thank you.